In preparing your bottom water-fed horse trough, you'll need to prepare a location for it. In my case, I didn't have room, so I extended my fence, which keeps the chickens out. You'll also want to do a couple things in preparation. You'll want to make sure your surface is somewhat level, and you want to make sure that your horse trough is not in the dirt. The reason that you want it level is because you have water in the bottom of the horse trough, and it's important that it's somewhat level. The other thing that's important is that you need to make sure your horse troughs are on, in my case I have pavers, you can have cement, you can have a variety of materials, but try to keep it out of the dirt and it will prolong the life of your horse trough. You can also see here in the video that I have mole and gopher repellent. I usually always put that down below any pavers that I have. It just sort of helps keep the moles out, and it's not going to get into any food supply if it's under the pavers or any animals, but it does help repel the moles and gophers a bit. Okay, what we have here is the polypropylene pegboard sheets, sometimes called Durabond. I happened to get this at Home Depot, ordering it online. It's 1/4 of an inch thick and has 5/16 inch holes in it. And this will be used to line the bottom of the horse trough that I have over here. And we're going to use the horse trough to make a pattern for inside the bottom. Now it's important that you get this 1/4 of an inch thick. You could always go thicker, but this stuff is not cheap. And preferably I like doing it in the 4x8 sheets because you get more out of it. But since I just have a couple, I ended up ordering them from Home Depot in 2-foot by 4-foot sheets. You can see here that this is fairly thick. And then we'll just weave these together when the time comes. If you're doing a bunch of these, you can order them online. Like if you're doing a dozen, you can order them online cheaper in 4x8 foot sheets, but shipping is expensive. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to set your horse trough on top of the polypropylene sheet to make yourself a pattern. And obviously you're going to have to allow for the thickness of the wall of the horse trough. You want to use one edge to where you don't have to do any work at all, and have that just shy of the overall piece. We're going to mark that with a felt marker, and then we'll cut it out. So this is the pattern that I traced out. Probably throw it up on a sawhorse and put a board behind it to support it, and cut it out with a jigsaw. Once this is made up, you'll be able to use it as a pattern for others. What we're doing here, since we don't have one piece, we're going to sort of stitch it together. This is a piece of scrap that was left. I made sure that I have 2 holes worth here. I'm just going to line these holes up and do a little stitching. Just put some tie wraps down one and up the other. I'll do that a half dozen times. We'll just stitch that together. It's not going to go anywhere. There's a lot of support on the bottom side as well, and It's a lot cheaper than trying to buy a 4x8 sheet unless you're buying a bunch of them. Then you can save some money. But this will work fine. We'll just put a half dozen tie wraps in and cut them off and we'll be ready to go. And just put those off. And now we have a solid piece. And what we're doing here is we have 4-inch drain pipe, PVC drain pipe. It has holes on both sides. We're going to be cutting this up into 4-inch chunks. Make sure you save some or have a couple pieces because not all of them will be 4-inch chunks. But we're going to be cutting these into 4-inch chunks. Make sure you have proper eye protection. What I did here was put a piece of 2x4 here so that every time I make a cut it comes out exactly at 4 inches. Sort of saves you from having to measure this out every time. Alright, now we want to cut 5 pipes at 6 inches long. If you're doing more than one of these, this is the perfect opportunity to use the one that you just created as a template. Another way you can do this, which is probably a little bit wiser way to do it, is take a piece of cardboard and use it as a template. So the drain pipe that I picked wasn't quite as perforated as some that you can get. They didn't have it available. So I'm just going to drill a couple more holes at the top and the bottom. And I'm happy with that. These are the 6-inch long drain pipes, and as you can see I just traced some circles out that I'm going to cut because these 6 that I have on here will extend, or actually 5 that I have on here, will extend above this pegboard about 2 inches. And in my particular case I'm using 5. I'm in relatively dry weather. We don't get a lot of rain during the summer. If you're someplace where it's wet, you may only want to put 4 of these, but I'm putting 2 on each end, 1 in the middle.